Hey everyone, and welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I've got a breaking news report coming out from Russia, and today I have information to share with you that shows that Russian oil companies are suffering extreme profit losses due to this war in Ukraine. I have a new report to share with you here on your screen. Russian oil companies report massive profit losses in first half of 2025. All the largest oil companies faced a 2 to 3-fold decline in profits in the first half of 2025. All of this is happening against a backdrop of increased attacks by Ukraine on Russian refineries. All right, so this is absolutely a massive story just breaking today, originally reported by the Moscow Times, stating that pretty much all major Russian oil companies are reporting huge profit losses right now, anywhere from about 50% upwards of almost 70%. I'm going to go over some of the numbers and talk about these different companies that are being affected by these profit losses. So this is huge. We've been knowing for a long time that Russia's economy is not doing good right now, especially their oil and gas sector completely collapsing. This confirms that today. And if you guys remember back towards the beginning of this year, right around December of 2024 till maybe about February of 2025, we had numerous reports of Ukrainian drone strikes on oil depots, just lots of them getting smashed, probably more than 20 reports. If you even remember, for some of you that have been around here for a while now, back towards the beginning of this year, I started making jokes on this channel stating that we were going to have to change our name to Oil Depot News because it was just nothing but oil depots getting smashed. Now what are we seeing towards the last month or so? Is Ukraine just smashing oil refineries, okay? Lots of different oil refineries are shut down inside of Russia. Think about 4 or 5 right now, and we know about 20% or more of Russia's oil refining capacity has been knocked out due to these strikes. So imagine the economic losses from now until the end of the year. This next half of the year is going to be much worse for Russia compared to what it was back towards the start of the year. So we're going to talk a lot about this today. I'm going to show you guys some of the numbers. We also have some things over on X I want to share with you as well. Let's go ahead and jump into this onto a mainstream news report from Ukrainska Pravda 25. And it says all major Russian oil companies report profit decline. This is coming out today, August 30th, 2025. And it says right here, all major Russian oil companies faced a 2 to 3-fold drop in profits in the first half of 2025. Source today being the Moscow Times. Falling oil prices, a new wave of sanctions, and a strengthened ruble hit Russia's resource-dependent economy. According to company reports, all of the country's biggest oil producers saw profits decline by 2 to 3 times in the first half of 2025, the publication said. And it says here, Rosneft, which extracts half of Russia's oil, reported a fall in profits from 773 billion rubles, or $9.7 billion, to 245 billion rubles, or $2 billion, the Moscow Times noted. So that's huge, guys. 773 billion down to 245 billion rubles. This company basically completely collapsed. It also says here OPEC countries actively increased production, which hit global prices, and there was also an expansion of the discount of Russian oil due to tighter EU and US sanctions restrictions, explained Rosneft's head Igor Sechin. So that probably hurt them a lot as well. We know that OPEC has been increasing production of oil out of the Middle East, which has lowered global prices. And on top of that, the EU sanctioning Russia like crazy, also sanctioning their shadow fleet of vessels that they use to transport oil illegally as well. Just so many different effects here that are hammering at Russia's gas and oil sector. That's forcing them to lose a lot of profits, as we can see with this report today. It also says Lukoil lost half of its profits, earning 287 billion rubles, or $3.6 billion, compared with 590 billion rubles, or $7.4 billion, a year earlier. Gazprom Neft's profits shrank by 54% to 150 billion rubles, or $1.8 billion. Tatnef's almost tripled decline left it at 54.2 billion rubles, or $680 million, and Rosneft's profits dropped 3.2 times to 11.8 billion rubles, or $148 million. And also, Surgutneftgaz even turned loss-making, posting minus 452.7 billion rubles, or 5.6 billion over the 6 months. And it also says here in general, the oil and gas industry, which accounts for every fourth ruble in the budget and almost 20% of the national GDP, lost 50.4% of its aggregate profit, according to Rosstat, Russia's Federal State Statistics Service data. And it says, meanwhile, 45% of companies ended the half year in the red with total losses of 749.5 billion rubles or $9.4 billion, the Moscow Times reported. So my question here to Vladimir Putin is, with these kind of numbers, why are they continuing this war in Ukraine? I mean, all these sanctions, Ukraine destroying their oil refineries, their oil depots, the Druzhba oil pipeline being shut down. Why is Russia risking so much right now in this fight inside of Ukraine? Absolutely insane that by now Putin has not decided to end this war. Finally, it says here, earlier it was reported that China is seeking to increase purchases of Russian gas via the existing Power of Siberia 1 pipeline, as negotiations on building a second line have stalled. Oil processing at Russia's Kuibyshev refinery, which is owned by Rosneft, was halted on August 28th following Ukrainian drone strikes. Russia revised its oil export plan from Western ports in August, increasing it after Ukrainian drone attacks disabled several refineries and freed up more crude for export. Finally, it says here Reuters estimates that Ukrainian attacks have disrupted at least 17% of Russia's oil refining capacity. Yeah, we've even heard numbers upwards of 20 to 25%, in terms of capacity for oil refining in Russia, just due to literally over the last month of Ukraine hitting all these oil refineries and disabling upwards of 4 or 5 of them already. So absolutely massive report today, guys. Just wanted to share that information with you and let you know how things are looking in Russia's oil and gas sector. Now we're going to hop on over to X. I got a few things I want to update you on over here as well. So we're going to jump on over here to Max 25. It says the building of the pumping station was destroyed at LPDS of the Druzhba oil pipeline during yesterday's attack in Nadopovichi in the Bryansk region, according to Astra. The pumping station is a key element of the LPDS, without which the station cannot pump oil or oil products. So we talked about this strike yesterday. The Russians were complaining that Ukraine carried out another attack on the Druzhba oil pipeline, which allows Russia to export oil out of their territory in the Bryansk region on over to like Belarus, through Ukraine, also over to eastern countries in Europe, for example, Hungary and Slovakia. Ukraine has attacked the Druzhba oil pipeline several times already, and yesterday they actually went after a fuel pump station that directly supplies fuel in the Bryansk region to the Russian military. This was video footage coming out showing that strike yesterday. So based on sources from Astra today, which is a very reliable source, it's a Russian Telegram channel, they're reporting today that this pumping station was completely destroyed. So that means more fuel shortages are going to be showing up inside of Russia, especially in the Bryansk region. And that's more fuel shortages for the Russian military as well. So huge update there. All right, now another update here from Forbes Middle East. And it says European Union Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas said Saturday that Russia will not regain its frozen assets from the bloc without paying reparations. Here's a picture of Kaja Kallas today. So she was stating this to reporters earlier that apparently Russia is not going to be able to access their frozen assets that were taken from them at the start of the war. And it's about 300 billion euros worth of assets sitting in banks in Europe. And we keep hearing as well that Ukraine actually might get access to these. I think maybe upwards of 200 billion euros worth of these frozen Russian assets if Russia refuses to pay reparations for Ukraine. That means that Ukraine is basically calling for Russia to repay them for the damages that have been caused during this war. So Russia will not be getting these assets back unless they pay Ukraine for the damages. Now from Kiev Independent, U.S. officials accuse Europe of prolonging Russia's war in Ukraine, Axios reports. According to Axios, U.S. officials have grown increasingly impatient with European leaders, whom they allege are pushing Ukraine to hold out for a better deal. So it looks like there's some tension going on right now between U.S. officials and European officials as well regarding this war. And I really wonder if at some point Trump is going to come out and try to put pressure on Vladimir Putin, but maybe at the same time we might see Ukraine getting pressured as well. Maybe we'll see some sort of tariffs or sanctions. So far, Trump has been very quiet. I mean, he's been missing for about 2 or 3 days. He just started to appear at the White House today. A lot of people were thinking that he might have passed away. That is clearly not the case. He is still alive. He was on camera video today at the White House. So we're going to have to see what Trump decides to do, but possibly soon Trump could be applying pressure onto Ukraine, maybe even Europe as well. But we'll have to see if Russia is going to be getting hit by any tariffs or sanctions. They're really the wild card here, as so far we haven't seen Trump really put any kind of pressure onto Russia at all. Finally, from Visioner, European countries are discussing a no-fly zone that would allow Ukraine to resume commercial aviation routes. According to the Telegraph today, the scheme could be phased in, starting in the west and gradually covering more airspace until the entire country is safe enough for commercial air travel. Allowing flights to resume is seen as key to providing an investment boost to the war-torn country and helping refugees return home. The mission, which would involve Western fighter patrols and ground-based air defense systems, would initially aim to reopen Lviv and other Ukrainian airports in the west of the country. As confidence in the ceasefire grows, the mission would expand to Kyiv and other cities. So very interesting today. We have been hearing about this for a few days now, that the Europeans are discussing trying to create a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Looks like they might try to start in the western side around Lviv, which is right on the border with Poland, which could possibly allow them to help a lot of Ukrainian refugees that fled to other countries such as Poland, Germany, or anywhere else in Europe. That'll allow them to come back home. That'll help Ukraine out with its economy as well. So we'll see if Europe plans to do that, but it looks like they're talking about it right now. This could be a possibility in the future, and it could extend eventually into more like central Ukraine where Kyiv is at. And we might start to see a lot of commercial flights come back to Ukraine, which could be very good for them. But I'm not sure how they're going to achieve that with the war still continuing and Russia still launching missiles and drones into Ukraine nightly. So lots of big news today, guys. Just want to give you some updates regarding the situation between Ukraine and Russia, and ultimately this massive story today talking about these oil companies incurring huge losses as they continue to fight inside of Ukraine. So just want to let you know what's going on over here. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.